and a roll call to confirm that we have a quorum. So for people who are listening and can't see what looks like a quorum, I'm going to call names and ask everyone to respond verbally. So Kate Hedgeman.
Present.
Chris Bubb, our new member.
Here.
Thank you. Dave Cadera.
Present.
Dick Kotlow.
Here.
Jared Fink.
Here.
Tim Minichia.
Here.
And myself, Victoria Stores. I confirm we have a quorum and call this meeting to order at 8:04 a.m. on Friday, November 19th. I would also like to note, again, for those who are not able to see the video for this, that we are joined this morning by our CFO, Al Michaels, our Executive Director and Agency Counsel, Tom Connolly, Joe Scott, who serves as Special Counsel to the agency, David Van Leuven, Supervisor of the Town of Bethlehem, Rob Leslie, the Town's Director of Planning and Economic Development, and Robin Nagengast, who is Clerk and Administrative Assistant to our Executive Director. So our first order of business is to welcome our new member, Chris Bubb. Chris works in commercial banking at MBT Bank and brings us the commercial banking experience, an area of expertise that I'm very happy to have on our board. When we welcome new members in person, and it has been a while, we usually have time before or after the meeting to shake hands, speak with the new member, informally help him understand who each of us are. Since we're remote, I would still like to ask each member to introduce yourself very briefly, and we could, I think, to be organized, if we could do that by first name and alphabetically by first name. But I'll ask Chris to start.
Thanks, Victoria. It's great to meet everybody. My name's Chris Bubb, and like Victoria said, I work in commercial banking for NBT Bank, and have lived in Delmar. I grew up in Delmar and then moved back to the area about 5 years ago, where I currently live today. And just overall looking forward to contributing to the board and meeting all of you individually someday. Otherwise, we'll do whatever we can with what we have right now. Thanks.
Kate?
Chris and I know each other. We work together with different people, friends in common. So Kate Hedgeman, Hedgeman Law Firm.
Dave?
Hi, Chris. Welcome. I've been on the board for about 6 years, retired, formerly with the Authority's Budget Office, the New York State Division of the Budget. I've been a Delmar resident since 1977, I believe, 78. Probably know of some of my kids, and they went through the Bethlehem Central School system. So welcome.
Dick?
Chris, first thing, I'm Dick Kotlow. I'm a retired CPA. Practiced many years, almost over 45, and wide range of practice. One thing I can let you know is that we're a little less formal. I know you're in the office, but you don't have to wear a tie and jacket if you don't want, and you'll find it's very interesting, and welcome.
Thank you. Jared?
Morning. Jared Fink, the operations manager of Fink Equipment. It's a construction equipment dealership in Selkirk, family business. I live right in Delmar too, so you'll probably be seeing me around. Welcome.
Tim?
Welcome, Chris. I'm Tim Minichia, and have been serving on the IDA board since I think the middle of 2015. And I, by day, am the CFO of the Hudson River Black River Regulating District. and we have lived in town for about 22 years. Look forward to serving with you.
Thank you all. And Chris, I know you will have met our supervisor and Rob Leslie, but this morning we also have here Al Michaels, our CFO.
Good morning, Chris. I'm Al Michaels, the CFO for going on 10 years this January. I'm a CPA in practice for a little over 40 years, and I've always had a widespread interest in economic development. I served on the Airport Authority in the 90s and served with the Albany County IDA. So welcome.
And I know that you spent time with Tom. I met you in person on Tuesday, and I want to thank you again for being generous with your time. It was a great conversation, and I very much appreciated it. So the last person who I think you haven't met, Chris, is Joe Scott with Hodgson Russ. Joe, if you would say a word or two.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Very nice to meet you, Chris. I'm a partner at Hodgson Russ in our Albany office. I've worked in public finance since 1983 and had the opportunity to work with the Bethlehem IDA for many years. And we look forward to having the opportunity to work with you, and welcome to the board.
Thank you. And finally, because you have been spending time in town hall, I hope you had the opportunity to meet Robin Nagengast, who's usually not participating in our meetings, but her work has been essential to us and to the town. Have you had a chance to meet Robin?
I have, yeah.
Great. Thank you. The next order of business is to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of October 22nd. Are there any questions or amendments about the minutes? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Dick, are you waiving the motion? Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kate. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed or any abstentions? So thank you. The motion passes to approve the minutes of October 22nd. And our next order of business is to hear reports of committees, and there are none on the agenda this morning. However, Tom, you and I spoke over the past week about the vacancy on the audit committee.
Yes, I think it would be appropriate to fill that with our new member. Chris Bubb has indicated an interest in serving on that committee, and that committee is about to start functioning in January 2022.
So do we need a motion to appoint to a committee, Tom, or is this something that we are able to do informally as we are this morning?
No, I think you have to do it formally. It's a board appointment. So just a motion to appoint Chris Bubb to the audit committee would suffice.
Do we have such a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
David.
Okay, Dave is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Chris, welcome to your first committee.
Jumping head first.
All right, thank you. So item 6 on the agenda, communications, Tom?
No communications.
Then we are on to item 7. We would like to have an executive session on personnel matters. Before we enter the executive session, I'd like to provide an overview of the process that we have engaged in. The personnel matters relate to Tom's retirement as our executive director and agency counsel, and the process that the IDA has undertaken to fill that position, which is expected to be needed as of January 1, 2022. So Tom notified us over the summer that he plans to retire at the end of the year. Tom has served with distinction as both executive director and agency counsel, And so this board had two vacancies to fill beginning, let's see, I was thinking member vacancies, two staff vacancies to fill beginning January 1, executive director and agency counsel. We evaluated the alternatives and determined that the best approach for these positions, each of which is part-time, is to continue to have one person fill both roles, as Tom has done, on a part-time basis. We followed our procurement policy for professional services and posted a request for proposals. We asked for services to be provided through a consulting contract and not as a direct employee of the IDA or the town, which is a practice with other IDAs. The RFP was posted on our website, submitted and posted by New York State Economic Development Council, an umbrella organization that serves IDAs throughout the state, and also shared with the Bethlehem Chamber of Commerce. Written proposals were due back to the town on November 11th of 2021. The Bethlehem IDA received one proposal from Catherine Hedgeman of the Hedgeman Law Firm. Kate currently serves as a member and our vice chair. Her proposal covers all of the tasks requested in the RFP and is within the agency's budget for the work. So before we enter the executive session to evaluate the proposal, are there any questions from the members about the RFP process itself? I'll ask any questions and discussions of the specific proposal to be held until executive session. Any questions on the process? Okay, thank you. Therefore, I propose we enter executive session on personal matters at 8:15 a.m. And I will ask Robin to retain all of the members and also Tom for this discussion. And we will the meeting room resolved prior to the agenda item under his name. And I would therefore like to reopen the regular meeting at 9:16. So we have all of the members returning. We have Kate Hedgeman on the phone because of some technical challenges. Also on the phone, we have Rob Leslie and Al Michaels. And someone else is coming in. So allowed to talk, we have 518-424-7749. I'm happy to rename.
That's Joe Scott.
Okay. Great. So we have everyone except, as I noted, the supervisor who had another meeting to attend. Welcome back to the regular meeting of the IDA. It's going to look extremely quick. Dick has a deadline and needs to leave, but we do want to retain him. During the executive session, the members agreed to move forward and vote in the public session on a resolution. Tom, you have the correct language of the resolution. If you would share that with us.
Yes. Resolved that the agency accepts the proposal of Catherine M. Hedgeman as modified by the attached consultant agreement. Continuing attached consultant agreement, and authorizes the chair to negotiate the attached consultant agreement on behalf of the agency, and if there are no substantial changes, to execute the consultant agreement.
Do we have a motion to approve the resolution that Tom just read?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. That was Dave Cadero.
Dave.
Do we have and we had the discussion during the executive session. So do we have a second?
Second. This is Jared.
Thank you, Jared. All in favor of the resolution Tom just read?
Aye.
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 Are there any noes or abstentions?
I abstain. Kate Hedgeman.
Thank you for the abstention. The motion passes with 6 of our 7 members approving the resolution. Thank you all. So again, Dick, I know you're about to jump, but I do want you here. Kate, we are accepting your proposal and, would like to send out the proposed consultant agreement to you and begin the review and execution process.
Okay, and just so the record is clear, if I accept the consulting agreement, I do plan to step down off the IDA board effective December 31st. So I just wanted to, put that on the record.
Thank you.
Just before I go, I just want to apologize. It's not something I scheduled, but my neighbor passed away the other day and his funeral is right now. So I have to go.
Dick,
Right.
thank you. And thank you for staying on for this important moment. Our condolences.
Sorry for your loss.
All right. Thank you all. And especially thank you to Kate for the proposal and for her patience as the rest of the board reviewed, discussed, and came to the resolution that we just approved. I'd also like to thank Rob and Joe and Al for your patience and being available to resume the regular meeting. So the next item on our agenda is, my papers are a bit shuffled. Old business, planning board update, and report of economic development coordinator from Rob Leslie.
Good morning, everyone. A few items to report. The Port of Albany wind tower manufacturing project was on Tuesday's planning board meeting. I think in the past I've informed the board of the status and where it stands. If you recall, the port is going through a supplemental environmental impact statement process. So the planning board at their Tuesday meeting determined that the supplemental draft EIS was complete and appropriate for public comment. And so that is a step of the EIS process. And the board set a public hearing for Tuesday, December 7th at 6 p.m. to receive public comment on the draft environmental impact statement, and have also opened a public comment period for the public to provide written comments through December 17th. So once that process is complete, the port and their consultant team move on to addressing any of the public comments as well as planning board comments in what's known as the final environmental impact statement. So this is one step in the process, and the project moves along. I know the port is meeting actively with all the state agencies that are involved in the permitting process for development of that site, and are moving that along as quickly as possible to address permitting conditions and issues to receive those permits so they can start construction next year. Hearing no questions, I'll move on to the next item. Some additional exciting news. Recent proposal at Vista Technology Park for a facility by Plug Power. Planning board also at their meeting on Tuesday heard a presentation by Columbia Development for a proposed 350,000 square foot office manufacturing and warehouse facility for Plug Power. For reference purposes, the site would be located at the end of Vista Boulevard. So as you drive down past ShopRite and past the what was to be the Monolith building, further down at the end of the cul-de-sac there, Plug Power proposes to utilize about 25 acres of land for this facility. They would be manufacturing their Gen Drive product, which are hydrogen fuel cells that power material handling equipment. So think of forklifts in warehouses. These fuel cells power those forklifts, as well as I believe other handling equipment. What the planning board was told was that the project would include 600 employees, about 300 of which would be relocated from the Latham facility. And that would allow the Latham facility to remain and expand another product line at that facility. So nice to hear that a new facility and the existing facility, would remain in operation. So the planning board at their meeting heard the initial presentation and took initial steps to conduct the environmental coordinated review with other state and local agencies. The planning board would serve as the lead agency in the review process. This process is a bit unique in that the property and the location of the site is located in 2 municipalities. So a small portion of the building is located in the town of New Scotland, as well as some of the improvements for roadway and parking area. So a unique process, but certainly not insurmountable. We'll be working with New Scotland on that, on that review process. But the majority, I would say maybe 95% of the site and facility will be located in the town of Bethlehem. And then finally, go ahead.
No, it's Kate. I said that's a lot of traffic with that influx of workers. Great project, though.
Yeah, and I just, I just want to make sure everybody reflects on the original proposal for Vista. Back in 2007, Vista went through its own environmental impact statement along with a master plan approval. And in that environmental impact statement, they looked at build out of 1.4 million square feet of office, manufacturing, and technology space. So those traffic items, item that you mentioned, was looked at back in 2007. It identified, improvements that were needed, particularly a new roundabout that is built today. I believe they contributed towards those infrastructure improvements back when that was being built in 2007. So, the benefit of Vista to some extent is that it has gone through the environmental impact statement review process, looking at all the potential issues. And so now the planning board's role is really looking at the comparison of, is what was determined back, for the EIS still consistent with what is being proposed today? And so with an approval back then of up to 1.4 million square feet, this proposal is for 350,000 square feet, along with, a few other buildings that have been built, as we know, ShopRite and the medical office buildings and the restaurants. So yes, there will be traffic, Kate, but it is consistent with what was envisioned and approved back in 2007.
And Ron, this is Dave. You talked about a transfer of people will be driving in from Latham, 300 people when all said and done. But there is a net increase in the number of jobs then from 300 to 600. So there would be a net increase of new jobs of 300. Is that what you're telling us?
That's my understanding based on the information that was presented to the planning board on Tuesday.
Okay.
And that the Latham facility would not be closing, that it would be utilized to expand another line from Plug. And I just want to be clear, I'm no representative for Plug. I'm just basing this information on what was presented to the board on Tuesday.
Good, thank you.
And Rob, it's my understanding that the town board approved the hiring of a senior economic developer who will begin in January?
Yes. So the town board at their last meeting approved the hiring of John Taylor John is a certified planner, as well as well experienced in economic development. He comes from the Delaware Avenue Prosperity Partnership, which is the state of Delaware's economic development arm. So he has much experience in economic development, a great background in planning, as well as, I believe, business administration. So I believe we're lucky to have him. He was a great candidate, performed well in his interview, and I think will bring a great set of skills to our town. And so he will start in January. He is in the process of moving here, so he's utilizing November and December to get his family up here and start in January.
What would you say his name? John Taylor or Trailer?
Taylor.
Thank you.
And then finally, the comprehensive plan update process moves along. We held a public meeting last night at Town Hall in person, and it was well attended. We had close to 90 folks attend. The meeting purpose was to present draft recommendations of the plan and gather public feedback on the 5 guiding principles. And so very happy with the turnout as well as the discussion that was had. And this is a great milestone for the plan to continue moving forward, looking to finalize the plan in the spring for the town board's adoption. We do have a video recording of the meeting, of the initial 20 minutes of the meeting presentation on the town website. And then as we broke out into groups, we were just unable to, record those group discussions. But all that information gathered will be discussed with the Comprehensive Plan Committee, as well as put up on the project website, BethlehemForward.com. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Tim has noted that he needs to leave. Our meetings will get shorter in the future now that we have resolved on the succession plan for executive director. But what I would like to do is note that aside from adjournment, there is one other action the board will be asked to take this morning, and that's with regard to our services contract with the town. So, Tom, may I ask you to hold the Burt Crane update, and Al, if you'll hold the financial statements, and Joe, the Port District Commission. No board action is requested for any of those 3 items, and I would like to use the remaining time that we have with Tim to review very briefly the elements of the administrative services contract that are updated and finalized since you last saw it. So you have in your packet the administrative services contract between the town and the IDA. At our October meeting, we approved the 2022 budget, which includes the $35,760 fee for services in Exhibit A to this contract. The contract before you this morning includes 2 new exhibits. You've seen them in draft form, and they have now been finalized. Each outlines in more detail the tasks we ask of town staff. These include the senior economic developer, who has recently been hired and will work in the town planning department with Rob, as well as conduct tasks for us. It also includes the tasks which Robin has been performing for us as clerk of the agency and as assistant to the executive director. And I'd like to thank Robin for working with me on this list of tasks, which are slightly expanded to take better advantage of her skills. Along with that, the contract proposes a title change to assistant executive director rather than assistant to the executive director. And those are the changes to the services contract, no changes to the dollars, simply clarifying the tasks that we are requesting from the town. So what I would like to get to is a resolution to authorize me as the chair to execute this contract with the town. And it takes effect on January 1 of 2022. So any questions or comments? All right. Hearing none, do we have a motion to authorize execution of this contract?
So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We had, who moved? Tim.
Tim.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? All right, thank you. The resolution passes to authorize the chair to execute the service contract with the town. Thank you. So I will bring us back to old business number 8, the Canon Burt Crane update. And Tim, when your time runs out, we will still have a quorum to close the meeting.
All right. Okay, this is an status report on the Burt Crane project. In July, I talked to the company and found that the company had asked the contractor, BBL, to update the estimates of the cost of construction. And BBL found that the cost of construction had escalated significantly, and the company decided not to go forward with construction in 2021. I gave that information to the Finance Committee for their use in preparation of the budget. This week, I sent an email to the company and asked if there was an update, but I haven't heard back. Dick Cotlow asked about the sunset provisions of the resolution for Burt Crane, and the sunset is in 2 parts. It says the resolution will expire if construction is not started within 1 year from December 18, 2020. The company complied with that condition by doing site development work in April and May of 2021. The second part of the sunset is that the construction has to be completed within 2 years from December 18, 20. And that hasn't, those facts haven't expired yet. So that's the report.
Are there any questions for Tom on that specifically this morning? We know that we'll continue to monitor this and be in touch with Burt Crane.
So Tom, you said they're not going to proceed with any further development in calendar year 2021.
Yes,
correct?
that was the message.
Right, with no assurance that anything will happen in 2022.
Well, no.
Okay.
I think it'll depend on economic conditions.
Sure.
And we all know that costs are not going down. Recently, the published information is that the inflation is approaching 5% from, 3% a year ago.
Okay, thank you.
Are we ready to move on to financial statements and the term sheet under new business? Okay, let's do that. Al? Al, would you take us through the financial statements in the packet this morning?
I think it's on mute or something, isn't he?
Yes, I've clicked the ask to unmute. He has permission to talk. So I don't know what.
I'll take this pause in the action as an opportunity to hopefully gracefully exit with your indulgence. And thank you for adjusting the agenda accordingly. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Al, are you still able to hear us? All right. All right. I need to. So let's do this. Al may be having technical difficulties. If someone could get in touch with him from it with a chat message to everyone. I don't want to take our time while I'm looking. What I would like to do is ensure that Joe Scott is still with us. We are not asked to take action on a term sheet with the Port of Albany, but Joe is here with us this morning to talk about the document, and I would like to invite him to do that while we are trying to connect with Al. And Joe does have permission to speak.
Hey, Victoria, if I could just interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
Al says he's having trouble unmuting. I believe the key is he needs to hit *6, and that unmutes a phone when he's on a phone call. *6 if you can hear us.
All right, here I am. I was hitting *6, but I was hitting it on the wrong screen. Thanks, Rob, for troubleshooting. I'll run through the financial statements faster than I ever ran when I ran marathons. Cash, $440,026.41. We also had prepaid expenses of $880.88. Our total assets were $440,907.29. Our liabilities are accrued expenses. Those are monies due to the town on half of the services agreement and reimbursement for salary. And that total was $33,347.62, leaving us with net assets of $407,589.67. We go to our income statement. Income hadn't changed from the prior month. Fee income $17,243.35. PSEG $67,838.64, totaling $85,081.99. On the expense side, salaries $40,473.40. Contractual expenses $58,661.12. Employee benefits $67,62.50. Totaling $105,897.02, giving us a year-to-date deficit of $20,815.03. And after we factor in interest income and the $500 economic development grant, our year-to-date is a deficit of $21,246.09. And when we compare that to budget, you can see that we're under budget on our regular fee income. We haven't had a closing all year. We're far ahead of budget on our PSEG. And then our expenses are in and under budget within the normal ranges. I would want to note that the day after I prepared these statements and sent them on for the packet, we finally got the third quarter billing for the PSEG, which I booked into the month of November, and that's going to be $42,466.34. So, in fact, our year is going to turn out okay. Are there any questions on the financial report?
Thank you. Jared, you've come back on video. Do you have questions for Al?
No, all set. Thank you.
All right. Al, thank you. Hearing no questions, I'd like to invite Joe Scott to discuss the proposed term sheet with the Albany Port District Commission.
Thank you, Chair. With respect to this matter, as reported by Leslie, Rob earlier, things are moving forward on the environmental review of the project. And that obviously has, as an important condition, we can't move forward on any final approvals with respect to the IDA straight lease transaction on the matter until seeker is completed. And as has been reported to the board previously, the expected completion date of that process is early January. So at that point, the IDA will be in a position legally to formally consider / approve any documents with respect to the straight lease transaction. In the interim, the port is structuring construction contracts, having discussions with contractors and subs, putting together cost budgets, etc. And my thinking and the purpose behind the term sheet is to provide some comfort, frankly, on both sides, that the significant terms with respect to the project and the IDA's involvement have been, addressed and at least preliminarily approved. And the idea there is that, again, the port is moving forward on the project, and much of the structuring of the construction contracts is based on the understanding that the project will be structured through the IDA. Recognizing that we can't do any final approvals, the term sheet is heavily conditioned and heavily caveated. If you look at the language at the very top of the term sheet, that's language that Tom presented to me, and it highly conditions the terms of the term sheet. There's also language in the resolution itself, which makes clear that the term sheet is preliminary, subject to seeker, subject to approval of documents, subject to review by council, etc. So again, the idea was just to frankly move the ball along, provide some progress with respect to what I would characterize as the significant terms of the transaction. To put this in context, this is not something to my memory that this IDA has done in the past, but my office and I personally have done similar resolutions / term sheets on other similar large projects where there's a longer than expected timeline with respect to the proceeding / processing of the project. And again, the goal is to provide some level, and again, it's highly conditioned based on the language in the term sheet and in the resolution, some level of comfort as to what the transaction is going to look like so that the parties can make some reasonable decisions on a going forward basis. So that's the background and the detail of the matter, Chair. And if you want me to do a line by line of the document or documents, both the resolution and term sheet, I'm happy to do that. I understand from Tom that this is most likely going to be referred to finance. I think that's reasonable. But with that, I'll open it up for any comments or questions. And because we're having some IT issues, I'm just going to double check that you can all hear me.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, we can hear you. I do want to recognize that of the 3 people on the Finance Committee, I am the only one who is still at the meeting. So,
Victoria, I'll put in my 2 cents here.
Thank you.
Joe and I have negotiated the language over the last 2 weeks, and we agree on the language. I put in the covering email that there are blanks on the schedule, on Schedule A, the project term, administrative fee, and the annual fee. So neither Joe nor I had the information to complete that. And we, based on our conversation, I would recommend that this be referred to the Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee accepts the referral and will review this and also review and discuss proposed information to fill in those blanks. And any action on this, if the board chooses to take action, will be the full board. But we will review this. I will schedule a meeting with the Finance Committee. And I think it's important to remind all members that every single one of our committee meetings is open to any member of the board. And so we will make the date and time of that meeting available for anyone else who wants to attend that meeting of the Finance Committee to review the term sheet and possible data for the blanks. Are there any questions about that process? I don't want, especially as we're coming up on 10 a.m., any very important questions for Joe. Absolutely, we want to ask him to answer, but I also want all of the members both to have the ability. I want to participate in the Finance Committee meeting. I want the Finance Committee to review this and report back to the members. Is there anything that we should know or ask this morning? Okay, thank you. So we'll accept the referral and get back to you with the information. Item 10 on our agenda is to note that our next regular meeting is scheduled for Friday, December 17, and I would expect it still to be remote. And item number 11, if there are no other questions, is to invite a motion to adjourn this meeting of the IDA.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jared. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining from the vote? Okay, the November meeting of the Bethlehem IDA is adjourned by my clock at 9:52 a.m. on 11/19/2021. With thanks to everyone for being available for nearly 2 hours. I am always grateful to the entire team, the members, our staff, and people we invite to the meeting as we work through some very important issues.
Thank you.
All right.